Now more than ever, issues associated with ageing are influencing public policy and shaping the way we plan our communities and environments to be more age-friendly. COTA is honoured to have brought Dr. Alexandre Kalache, a world-leading authority on ageing, to Queensland. He pioneered the concept of active ageing and developed the global movement on age-friendly cities at the World Health Organization as head of the Ageing and Life Course program, and now leads the International Longevity Centre in Brazil. Dr. Kalache has come to Queensland from South Australia, where he is part of the South Australian Thinkers in Residence program. In Adelaide, he has been building a deeper appreciation for the contribution and needs of our ageing population. In particular, he has been assisting in the implementation of new and exciting initiatives as part of the state reform agenda, adding life to years. Dr. Kalache has worked with the partner organisations to examine how we are devising and implementing policy around ageing issues according to 4 pillars of security, dealing with the vulnerability, activity, participation, health and continuity of education. This will provide opportunities to examine issues around ageing in a more holistic way, seeing the experience of ageing as more than just health-related experience. As I said earlier, Dr. Kalache has a wealth of experience and expertise at the international level through his work between 1994 and 2008 as the Director of the World Health Organization as an advocate for older people. During this time, Dr. Kalache advanced the state of knowledge about healthcare in older age and gerontology through dissemination of information, training and research, launching in 2002 the World Health Organization's Active Ageing Policy Framework, which is the framework that drives COTA Queensland's work. Also under his leadership at WHO, Dr. Kalache launched the global movement on age-friendly cities, which is one of the areas that COTA is championing at the moment. Dr. Kalache is a senior policy advisor to the President on Global Ageing at the New York Academy of Medicine, a consultant to the municipal and state governments in Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, as well as to the federal governments in Brazil. He's an international ambassador for Help Age International, a global network of not-for-profit organisations with a mission to help disadvantaged older people worldwide. Can I introduce you to Dr. Kalache?
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mark. And a special thank you for your very kind words and a very beautiful introduction. I noticed that you said that when people of pale skin came to the shores, I'm glad to say that I have come to your shores, but I don't have pale skin. As you have heard, I'm Brazilian, and so I will have to ask you to cope with my accent. I expect that you won't have difficulties to understand me, but if you have, just raise your arms and please repeat it, and I will try to repeat with the same accent because I can't pronounce otherwise. I'm delighted to be here, and well, I will start, and I have just spent 3 weeks in Adelaide. This is my 3rd visit in Adelaide as a thinker in residence for the government of South Australia. It has given me a fabulous opportunity to start implementing what we expect is going to be the first ever age-friendly state. And this is following the many hundreds, more than 1,000 cities around the world that have joined us in this adventure on how to build a global network on age-friendly cities. And this is the story that I'm going to tell you, because I think that it is relevant. And talking to Mark, I expect that this is what you would like to see in Queensland over the next years, the building of age-friendly cities, and maybe, why not, an age-friendly Queensland. I'm going back a few years when we built the first 35 cities around the world that joined WHO to establish these age-friendly cities following an experiment. And I have to start the story. telling you how it first started. Have you ever been here? This is Copacabana Beach, and I know that Margaret Steinberg has been there. And this is where I was born. Have you heard of Copacabana Beach before? Yes. What do you think when I say Copacabana? What comes to mind? I didn't hear that. Well, that is one thing. Festivals, music, beautiful girls in bikinis, strong men playing volleyball. It's all there. It's a very vibrant part of our city, Rio de Janeiro. I was born there. I was born, does it have, yeah. I was born about here. There was a maternity there, which no longer exists. Today is a geriatric hospital. So now that I'm spending more and more time in Rio, after I left WHO, I have a very good chance of, with this geriatric hospital, ending up where I first started. And that is what is Copacabana today, is giving a taste of what is to come for the country as a whole. My parents' generation came to Copacabana. You understand that, Copacabana is surrounded by these big blocks, these rocks. And this is why until the 1930s, it was very difficult to have access to Copacabana. And it was only in the 1930s, with the tunnels that were built under the rocks, that people could come, and there was this big urge of development. The urbanization of Copacabana took place in 1930s, 40s, 50s. And many people, young people, came to live in what I could say was a kind of Gold Coast of Rio de Janeiro, although very close. It's only about 15 kilometers away from the city center. But before 1930s and 40s, it was virtually uninhabited. Nobody would be living there because the access was so difficult. Well, my parents' generation came, and those that survived, I still live in Copacabana, and you can see the reason. It is dense. You have all the services around you. You can walk everywhere. You have restaurants, hotels, you have chemistries, you have public transport, you have the very beautiful beach, so you can walk. It is pleasant. But you also have the fact that those that don't live right by the coast into the blocks away from the sea, it's not everybody that is rich. So it is like a mix of the country as a whole. And because the generation of my parents moved to Rio, and are still living there, those that survived, but their children and grandchildren have moved away and are now living in more fashionable districts of the city, Copacabana has aged. Has aged because those that survived are still there, and because the younger generations, my generation, my children's generation, my nephews, my nieces, are all living away from Copacabana. And today in Copacabana, we have, in proportional terms, more older people than you have in Japan, which is the oldest population in the world. So we can use Copacabana as a laboratory to test ideas, to see if some policies, some new practice interventions will work or not. And because it is a mix of socioeconomic classes, it's not only rich people that live in Copacabana, you can really see what is happening and what is going to happen in 2042, 2043, when the proportion of older people in my country, for the whole country, is going to be as high as it is in Copacabana today. Amazing. It is amazing that in my lifetime, when I was born in Copacabana, the proportion of older people would be 4%. My life expectancy was about 43 when I was born. Today, 75 for the country as a whole. It's a completely different country. And the fertility rate, which is really the engine that gives the speed to population age, is 1.7. It's below replacement level. When I was born, was close to 8. When I left Brazil to do my postgraduate training in England, was about 6 in 1975. So you can see the speed of aging, just having a look at what has happened to Copacabana, to Rio, to Brazil. This is the taste of tomorrow's global society. It is here aging. It is unprecedented. It has never happened before in the history of humankind that we could face such a very fast aging process throughout the world. And obviously, this is what is happening in a country like Australia, and specifically here in Queensland. So this is what Mark has asked me to come and share this story that starts with Copacabana, because in 2005 we had the International Congress of Gerontology in Rio. It was exciting. It was a new country, supposed to be a young country, hosting this international gathering. And the organizers gave me the honor of opening, giving the keynote speech at the beginning. But they also said, but Alex, try to bring an idea that will excite the media and that the media can talk about aging, talking about the Congress. And I thought, well, I'm going to associate the word Copacabana with aging. And in the same way that has caused surprise to you, as you are not familiar with Copacabana, and you would associate this beach, this district, with carnival, with festivals, with volleyball. People that were there for the opening of the Congress were also surprised. So what I did was very simple. I looked at my district, where my mother still lives. My dad is dead, but my mother is still there. Has been living there since 1942 when she got married. And I organized with friends that live in Copacabana, friends that work as gerontologists in Rio. And I said, help me. I need some focus groups. I need some groups of older people to tell me what is to age in Copacabana, so that I can tell this story to the audience and open the Congress, and hopefully the media will be interested, because the media, even in Brazil, is not used, was not, now has changed a lot, to associate Copacabana and aging. So it was a very improvised, informal way to bring people together around the table and talk about aging in Copacabana from their personal experience, them as protagonists. And they told me 3 things that were extremely interesting. It becomes obvious once you hear them, but it was kind of new. You can see that Copacabana is basically a district where people live in apartment buildings. And below there, you still have a man, it's always a man, never a woman, who is the porter, the doorman. And the people in Copacabana, these older people, said, our best friends are the doormen, the porters. It becomes obvious once they tell us